5 tremendous interview questions for sales candidates. And if you don't get this right and you make the wrong hires, you can burn down your business super quick. In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 questions you must ask in every interview for a sales position. And this is important because when you do get this right, you're going to get the right people and you're going to have a sales team that can convert. And we know because we've trained thousands of coaches, consultants, sales reps to do more sales in the coaching and consulting industry. Now, if you like this video, make sure to subscribe so you get more content like this via the little notification bell in the corner. Like this video if you enjoy it, share it with someone who could use it, and of course, comment with any questions or thoughts down below. Now, let's get started. All right, so before you actually get into the questioning part of the interview phase, before you even set up the interview, there are some things that you really want to know about the candidate before you schedule an interview. Now, with all of the candidates we work with, we use a proprietary screening service that actually gives us an idea if they're going to be somebody that would be a good fit, that's going to have the drive to actually succeed as a salesperson. In addition to that, we've got an application that they complete, and we want to make sure that they've got relevant experience. So, we hire people that have sales experience, that have a proven track record making sales. And typically we also encourage, and I've said this in other videos, that you want to look for people in a similar industry and a similar size company. And the reason those things are important is because the knowledge from working at a Fortune 500 company doesn't always translate to a smaller business. It's not always easy for a salesperson who's used to selling with huge brand awareness for a giant company to jump into a small, lesser known business with a different marketing engine, a different branding engine that really means there's different a skill set needed to convert those clients. And so that's something to really think about when you're interviewing, is to try to find somebody in a similar industry and a similar size company. But if you've got those things and it matches your requirements, then the next thing to do is to get into the actual interview phase. And there are 5 questions that I always like to ask. So question number 1, the very first thing I always ask, and this tells me a lot about them. Look, when you're looking for a good salesperson, good salespeople are go-getters. They focus on their mindset, they focus on success principles, and they're always looking to improve themselves and get better. And so people like that typically have some sort of morning formula. So the first question I ask every candidate is, tell me a little bit about what your morning routine or morning formula is. And once in a while, I will get somebody who's just like, what do you mean? Or I don't know, I get up and go to work. That's a pretty big red flag for me pretty quickly. Most of the time, and almost every good salesperson I've ever hired, the response is something like, well, I get up at 5 a.m. It doesn't have to be that they get up early, but they typically get up. They have a very set regimen. They exercise, they maybe meditate or do breath work. They eat a healthy breakfast. They drink water. They journal. But you're looking for you could always work with them on that, right? That's a key component, especially if you're a coaching business. Then it's probably something you do with your clients. You can help them set up that a morning routine that's going to help them improve based on whatever they need to work on in their sales process. But knowing that they've got a morning routine is going to tell you that they're probably a more coachable person who is always looking to improve and better themselves. And those are the kinds of people that are going to be more successful in sales typically. So question number 2 that I love to ask prospects is, what is your favorite sales process horror story? So like prior to the sale, what is your favorite horror story of the sales call or in-person sales process that you had? And I love asking this question for a couple of reasons. Number 1, it's a lot of fun. I've got a whole treasure trove of stories that I could share with you of sales horror stories. So that's a lot of fun. But more importantly, what I like about this question is that it's going to give you a little bit of an idea of, whether they're more of an optimist or a pessimist. It's going to give you an idea of, if they can tell you, if they start breaking into story after story after story, and, oh, this person just frustrated me and that person frustrated me. Well, they're probably not somebody that's going to protect your brand and your service the way that you want them to. They're probably somebody that is a little bit more pushy and just, going to close sales maybe, but also potentially going to have a lot of refund requests too. So if they have a lot of stories like that, not necessarily a good fit. But if they share a story, and what you're really looking for here is a story where, maybe they had this potential client who was really rough to deal with, but they were able to turn it around in the end. And maybe they didn't even make the sale, but they felt really good that they were able to help get the person to a place where they could see a path forward, and they referred them on to that place. And it's also good if that's the kind of story they tell rather than some awful prospect that they just drove them nuts, because their brain went first to a story of success. And the chances are, if that's where their brain goes first, then that's the way they're wired. And that's going to tell you a lot about their ability to be successful on sales calls too. So that's one of my favorites. The third question I always like to ask is, what is your sales philosophy, or what are the steps to the sales process? And of course, if you've been following me for a while, you can check out one of our other videos where we go through the sales process. But the key component you're looking for is that they understand that their job is to help the prospect shift their belief. They're able to help the prospect see what was maybe missing and why they have been stuck and not gotten the result that they wanted, and be able to understand what it's costing them, the consequence, their doubts about their ability to solve it, something along those lines, that they understand the basics of sales, and that they understand that the important part is to connect the dots for the prospect to help the prospect see how your solution, your offer is going to actually help them get the result and get the shift that they've been wanting. So really, you're just looking for some knowledge of sales, and obviously, if you're leading a sales team, you should have some knowledge of sales. And if you don't, then certainly you do want to have a sales manager or somebody with sales experience who is helping with this process, which is obviously something that we do. So certainly feel free to reach out for that. The next thing, the fourth question that I always ask is, what is the most important thing that the prospect needs to realize and say out loud in order to buy? And what I'm really looking for there is they need to actually acknowledge that they don't know how to fix the problem. And they need to acknowledge that it's the consequence, the cost of not fixing it is just not okay. That they absolutely must fix the problem, and that they don't know how they're going to fix it on their own. If you don't get the prospect to that place, they're not going to sell. And so you're looking for some answer like that. That they understand the sales process and what it takes to convert somebody from a prospect to an actual sale. And then my fifth question that I always ask them is, and this is my favorite, how do you handle an objection? And I ask this because I just want to know what the answer is. And the best answer is, well, the handling objections really starts at the beginning of the call, and really understanding the prospect and getting them on the same page with you, so that you understand the urgency, all the things we've talked about that are part of the sales process. That they understand the urgency, they understand that they're not going to be able to fix this on their own, the cost and consequence, all those things that I talk about, in this video and in every video where we talk about the sales process. So that's probably the best answer. And then I would follow that up. A lot of times you'll get, well, I would, this is my one, well, depending on the objection, what is it? And they give you a one-liner. I'm not looking for that kind of salesperson, and I don't think you should be either. What you're really looking for beyond the objections come from how you handle the call all the way up to the objection. So that's one really good answer. The follow-up then is, okay, well, now you've done everything right, but an objection still comes up. What do you do? And so then the second best answer is something along the lines of, well, I would ask questions. I would want to understand what the real objection is. I would want to isolate that objection, make sure it's the only real thing, and then understand that if we could solve that problem together, if they would move forward, right? Because, for example, if you've got a prospect on the phone and they're just like, oh man, $7,000, I just don't have it. I don't have that available. You'd be amazed how often, once you start to dig a little bit, it's that, well, I don't have $7,000, but I could put it on a credit card. And the real objection is that they're not sold that they should. And if you can get that out, well, chances are then, yes, the first response to that question, that they should have gotten that earlier on the call and really prevented the objection, is part of the answer. And then the only thing you can do at that point is to understand what they would need in order to feel confident that they should make the leap and invest in working with you. So Some answer like that is what you're looking for, is that, hey, the objections come really from the way you handle the call up to the objection. And the second part being that you want to always ask questions to isolate and understand what the true objection is, because almost never is the objection they say the real reason why they're not buying. I want to think about it, I don't have the money, like, oh, I just need to finish this other program, whatever it is. Those are usually excuses. And so we want to use logic to help them understand it. If we've done everything right in the rest of the call, then we've gotten them to a place where they are eager to buy. They've expressed that there's no other solution that they see clearly that will solve this. They know that this is the right solution for them. We've done all of that. Then you can handle that objection by really understanding what's going on and then coaching them through their fear. So any kind of answers around that from a prospective salesperson suggests they know what they're doing and they understand how to actually handle a prospect on a sales call. So those are the 5 questions that you absolutely want to ask on every sales call. All right, if you like this video, make sure to subscribe so you get notified by the little notification bell in the corner. Of course, like this video, share it with anyone that you think could use it, and comment below with any questions or thoughts about this content. And if you would like more content like this, more training, more support, access to scripts, salespeople, etc., join our Facebook group by clicking the link in the description box below this video.